Mr. Samir Roy here. It is Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. Samir, how you doing?
Happy Groundhog Day!
Yeah, it's Groundhog Day!
It's not Groundhog Day?
It's not. Not anymore. Not anymore. I don't think. I definitely, I left the house today.
But today is so similar to yesterday for me.
You gotta get out. You gotta get out, Samir. Oh, this is gonna do this crap where it's not gonna let me share it again. This is
it's doing that again.
It just like keeps spinning.
The spinny wheel of death. Hello, Luke.
Anyway, guys.
We'll get there eventually.
Good to see you, you little hamster.
Good to see you.
Facebook. I hate Facebook. So
well, I'm sorry to hear that, Crystal.
Hopefully we will put a little smile on your face. We will be talking about Angela Bassett, who, again, we tried to talk about almost a month ago for a Woman Crush Wednesday, and that was the day of the insurrection thingy at the Capitol. So she got bumped to today.
We couldn't just let a day go by, a Woman Crush Wednesday go by without honoring this lovely, lovely woman.
Yeah, so we will be talking about her. Before that, let's talk about Groundhog Day, though, because that was our movie yesterday, since it was Groundhog Day.
It was. And Owen, remind us to get back to Strange Days when we get to Angela Bassett. There's a story there.
We will talk about Strange Days.
But this was so much fun to revisit. I had it's such a lovely experience to watch this movie, because you really do sort of feel everything that Bill Murray's character feels going through the whole story.
You do.
It's so you get the you identify with the sarcasm and the sort of hopeless feeling, like, oh my god, like I've been a weather guy for this many years and now I'm doing a story on the groundhog and and this is where my life is led, and so when he says that sarcastic thing and she's like, can we do it one more time, but without sarcasm, it's like, we got it, and he walks away. I'm like, you totally are with him, and then you sort of transition with him as that approach to life does not free him from Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I said yesterday, how I was excited to watch this again, and it was just it's so cute, and I love going through all of Bill Murray's emotions, and I love towards the end when do you think Andie MacDowell is a good actress? Not my favorite.
I do like her. She does seem to get the same kind of role a lot, or maybe it's just that she's just so normal that she feels like she's doing the same thing in every role. I mean, she's done things she was in Sex, Lies, and Videotape. Obviously, that character
recently
was I think 3 or 4 years before this. That's vastly different than this. But the stuff that she's most known for, it does feel like she kind of the roles feel kind of similar. But I find her very relatable, and I enjoyed her.
Recently was Ready or Not. That came out a couple years ago. She was fun in that.
Oh, she was.
But yeah, she's okay. I do like her in this. I like all the characters in this. But towards the end, where she says I'll pay $315.81 or whatever it was. I love Bill Murray's little happy face of he's just so delighted, just that and this wasn't his final day isn't a day that's spent trying to woo her. He's helping other people, and because of that, of just being this really generous, wonderful person, that is what makes her so attracted to him, to the point where she actually does end up staying the night at his hotel, given that many of the previous nights
Yes.
she's like, "No, I'm not coming in." Like,
Yeah,
uh,
it's a journey almost like this movie's been analyzed through a lot of different lenses, through like Taoism and Zen Buddhism and like the concept that, he's never freed from this cycle because he's going at it the wrong way. He's going at life itself in the wrong way. And he's sort of an object lesson in getting back what you put into the universe, sort of,
mhm.
because it's not until the end when he's sort of like, he's tried everything, like he's tried to be sarcastic, all the way through it and just sort of like look down on it. That hasn't gotten him anywhere. He's still living the same day. He tries killing himself and that doesn't work. And then the path begins where he finally notices like the old homeless man who's been struggling. And then he makes it like this mission to try to like save him, but he can't.
Yeah, I guess he just, like, keeps dying. Maybe they didn't I felt like they were focusing on that part in the film for a little bit, and then they kind of, like, abandoned that. So I
That
wonder
it
if
just kind of
maybe
went
that
away.
terms with, like, you can't change some things, or this is the day
I
he's supposed to die, he's gonna die
Yeah,
some
I
way.
think it was like that. And so like there was another lesson he needed to learn about the universe in a way before he could really progress in his life in a cosmic and literal way in this film. So I
Mhm.
feel like once they get the message across, like he keeps trying to change this one thing, and that's not something that you can fix in that one day. You can,
Yeah.
give him a good day, like, like I think it's when he starts to learn how to feel joy from not from pleasing just himself, but from trying to help other people. When he
Mhm.
actually starts to derive happiness from that, is when everything starts changing, and the same day becomes enjoyable for him when he spends it like making sure he gets coffee for his camera assistant, and instead of feeding him with his sarcasm and anger at his station in life, he's giving him something kind and he's asking about his life, and that instantly brings a different person out in him, and he ends up giving the best, broadcast he ever has, um, in that moment. And it's like because he's had all that time to really like learn all these things that he's been ignoring for so long, that all of that sort of comes together, and then he wakes up and you get your happy ending, and the song somehow instantly feels less oppressive when you see Andy McDowell's arm stretch across to turn off the alarm clock. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Owen here brought up, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Someone said, like, it could be like he is there for thousands of years. Someone had gone through, I saw in the trivia, it said like in the movie, they actually only show like 38 days or whatever it was. And Harold Ramis said
mhm.
that he looked at it as it being, yeah, like 10 years. And I feel like 10 years is probably a pretty good guess because when you watch this movie, there's so many other parts that, obviously they're not going to show every single day for 10 years, but there are even like the part where he um, is going to rob the armored truck. And he's sitting there. It's like, how many days did it take for him to sit there and be like, a gust of wind, a dog bark, knowing exactly what they're saying, knowing everything about them? Like, even just that took so long. And then later, when he's talking about, like, this is this person and she's lived here for such and such years, like, where are all those days where he knows absolutely everything about everyone in that town? So I feel like 10 years or somewhere around that, getting close to it, I feel like that's actually a pretty good estimate. Yeah,
Listen,
especially with him becoming an accomplished piano player. And I did notice, so we talked yesterday about Bill Murray's piano playing in it. I think he did do one of the songs, but otherwise in the credits, I actually noticed it said it was like Bill Murray's like piano hand double with someone
yes.
else.
So I paid attention to the way they filmed it because, like I said,
Yeah,
I analyzed
but
this
he did play
mostly
one part. He did
in
play one.
terms of sports and how, there's always connecting shots instead of one continuous shot of an actor
Mhm.
completing an action that you need to have some high level of training and skill to be able to look realistic doing it. So like, I was talking about tennis players and actors playing tennis players, but I also brought in actors who play musicians, and you have the same sort of shots. Like there's a close up of the face so you can sort of get their emotion as they're playing this music. What they're trying to communicate through it is done that way because you're not going to see it with the fingering and the movement of a bow on a
Mhm.
violin or the fingers across the keyboard of a piano. So I was like paying attention, like, hey, when does the camera pan from his face down to his hands? And does the movement of the fingers correspond to the notes we're hearing? And there is one moment where that's true. It's when he's doing Rhapsody on a theme of Paganini and turns it into like a soft jazz number. Which always makes me laugh because it's like one of these classic romantic pieces of music. Like my mother remembered it from, was it Somewhere in Time with Christopher Lee and was Jane Seymour. That piece of music is very famous in that movie. So it's like, and it attained this legendary status for romantic music. To hear it then become this soft jazz thing in the middle of it was just made me laugh so much. But that was the one moment when it switches to that you get a shot of his face and his hands on the keyboard, and his fingerings on the keyboard actually match the music. So I'm like, that is the shot where they had him actually playing that, you were just going to weave into a whole scene to make you. So then you just buy the whole thing as him playing, when you're watching the film. So that's what they did for that one shot. Because I think I told you, I watched that movie, The Picture of Dorian Gray, the old version, which is a brilliant, brilliant movie. It's unfortunately not on the Criterion Collection now. It left last month. But like, the character in that movie is playing the piano. You're seeing the hands go like this, like he's doing this thing while he's talking. And I'm like, okay, I am not even remotely buying that you're playing that instrument. But Bill Murray was able to pull it off with possibly the most difficult part of that music, which was switching styles in the middle of it from that piece. And I was so I know that he did some of it.
He did do some of it, yeah. But this movie is just so delightful, and I think really teaches us some good life lessons about caring about others and making the best of a situation, and maybe someday it'll get better. And it did. And at the end, he's like, let's move here.
Right? And they're like, well, let's rent first.
Her being like, it's one day, she's like totally okay with it at that point, because she did fall in love with him in one day of that one actually like perfect day. But so cute. It is available on AMC. I went ahead and just paid to rent it, so I didn't have to watch it with commercials.
Oh.
I $4. Take it.
The subscription, but I'm still paying for AMC Plus, so I did not have commercials.
See, I just have AMC, so it comes with commercials. Anyway, but check it out. It's so fun. Most people love this movie. And if you somehow haven't seen it, give it a chance.
Please do.
But let's talk about this goddess, Angela Bassett. I'm so happy that we're finally talking about her. So let's go back really quick to what we were going to talk about last month. Let's bring up Owen's Strange Days. So again, this was the movie we were going to do last month, and we found out that was like a whirlwind of a day as far as our little show goes. Like that morning, I always try and look up, where is our movie available to stream? Because if possible, I'll include that in our Instagram, like, oh, this is where it is. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And we were freaking out, like, this movie, we're looking forward to this movie. And it used to be on like Tubi or something like that. And like, we can't find it anywhere. It's gone. It has vanished from the internet. Where did it go? And then we decided, okay, we're going to do, what's another movie? And we ended up picking How Stella Got Her Groove Back, which is the movie we ended up going with today. And then, so we already had to do like a last minute movie change, which is fine. And then later in the day around noon, it was like, hey, are you watching the news? There's some people storming the Capitol. Maybe we should not do our show today. But we wanted to do Strange Days. Yeah, wanted to do Strange Days.
It just didn't happen. But we're doing a different movie because Strange Days is still not available to stream. I have a DVD of it, but it's going to be hard to find for anyone.
And
Crystal said she met her on that trip that I was supposed to go on with you.
Oh, Samir, you should have gone. And we also
it was a thing.
And yeah, so like an
It was
obvious
not meant to
choice
be.
would be What's Love Got to Do with It, but we already talked about that movie in November when we talked about why am I blanking? Lawrence
Lawrence Fishburne.
Fishburne. I knew it was Fishburne. Sorry. On the tip of my tongue. Yeah, we talked about him because he was also nominated for that film, as was Angela Bassett. But she has had quite the long and very, I think, pretty consistent career as far as I don't think she's really had any lull as far as her output goes. I think she's pretty much had at least one thing come out every year since. I mean, she's got like over 100. Yeah, she's got 100 acting credits on IMDb, and I don't think there's a single year that is missing a project. Oh wait, no, spoke too soon. 96. She had nothing come out in 96. Otherwise, it looks and 94. 94. Okay, I'll stop. But she was born Angela Evelyn Bassett, August 16th, 1958, in New York City. Her last name came from her great grandfather, who took the surname of his former slave owner. And that's just her great grandfather. And she was born in the 50s, but you could just see not a few generations away from her, her family was in slavery. Her parents ended up getting divorced, and she ended up in Florida, and she was there with her mom for a while. She went to Boca Ciega High School, and she was a cheerleader. Eventually, she got into Yale, and she got a BA in African American Studies, and then later she got her MFA in at the Yale School of Drama. Which I guess one of her sisters or someone in her family was like, "You're going to Yale, and you're getting a theater degree." And she's like, yeah. But she started acting. Her first stage debut was in New York, was in 1985. She was in things at the Yale Repertory Theater. Apparently she was in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, a play version of that. She also met, I think it's when she met Lawrence Fishburne. We talked about this with Lawrence Fishburne when we did his day, but they've worked together many, many times and absolutely love working with each other. I think they've worked together like 6 times or something like that. Her first TV appearance was in a made-for-TV movie called Double Take. She played a prostitute. Her first feature film, she played a news reporter in FX in 1986. After that, she moved out to LA and quickly was in things like Boys in the Hood, Malcolm X. And then, of course, in 1993, she was in What's Love Got to Do with It. Got an Oscar nomination for that. Throughout her career, she has played a lot of real-life characters, such as Tina Turner, and even, Malcolm X playing his widow, playing Katherine Jackson and like a Michael Jackson family pick.
Was that the TV movie?
Yeah, I think so. The Jacksons: An American Dream.
Oh yes,
it's an American mini series on ABC. Yeah, but she's played a lot of true life characters. She's very selective with the roles that she takes. She actually had turned down the lead role in Monsters Ball because she didn't like the sexual content in it. And of course, that's the one that Halle Berry ended up winning an Oscar for. And Samir still hasn't watched that movie, but it's got a lot of sexual content randomly in like this one 5-minute sex scene between.
Oh, that scene got a lot of coverage in the film media.
That's a whole other thing. We might eventually talk about that movie because it is a fantastic movie, but that scene is just like, why is this in here? It's just too long.
Well, when I do finally watch it, I will, when we do finally, if we do talk about it, then I'll see how that sex scene works into the story. Let's see if there's some emotional significance to it, perhaps.
There
see, Crystal,
it just
Crystal's
doesn't
got
need to be quite that long, I think. She won a Golden Globe for What's Love Got to Do with It? Best performance by an actress in a motion picture, comedy, or musical. She was the first Black actress to win in that category. Yeah, she has gone on to do so many other TV shows. Crystal mentioned American Horror Story. That's kind of like how I reconnected with her in previous years. I think she was just like,
She played Marie Laveau.
oh, yes. So many great roles. Yeah, currently she is on 911. Yeah, and she's also married to actor, I forget, Courtney B. Vance. I think they met at Yale.
Wow.
But they've been married since 1997. I didn't know that they were married. But they're married. She is a big supporter of the Democratic Party. And I wanted to read this. This is, of course, I'm still just looking on the Wikipedia page. This is the section on her media image. Bassett has been noted for portraying real-life African-American women, usually smart and strong women. Bassett said in 2001 that she liked those roles and added, "That's the image that I like to put out there, and those are the parts I'm attracted to. But non-iron fist kind of strong, just self-assured. I'm nice too." She has turned down roles which she viewed as demeaning to her image. "This is a career about images. It's celluloid. They last forever. I'm a Black woman from America. My people were slaves in America, and even though we're free on paper and in law, I'm not going to allow me to enslave me on film and celluloid for all to see, and across the water to countries where people will never meet people who look like me. So it becomes a bigger thing to me than just becoming a movie star and me just being on TV. So if you're going to show every Black woman as 400 pounds or every Black woman as the prostitute on the street, but I have always maintained that the roles I cannot do because of the way I'm made up or because of the way I think, I don't begrudge that there is someone else who has no issues with that." So I think that's a pretty interesting take on the roles that she's offered, and it clearly has worked out for her. She's had a very long career, and again, I mentioned her first TV role was playing a prostitute, which I think is also. I mean, I've had to play prostitute.
I was going to say that's kind of like a rite of passage for a young actor coming up in the system. You play a corpse, you play a sex worker. Who else? I don't know who else. You might play an assistant to like a lawyer, or it's like somebody. Yeah. Those are like, there's like a certain number of roles that's like, okay, these are just the things that are always available. If you live in New York, you can always get one of those parts in some episode of some spinoff of Law and Order. It's just like part of your life as an actor. You are going to play a sex worker at some point, which should not be a rite of passage for any female actor. Like that should not be. How many stories do you need, sex worker extras for? Like how many TV shows and so forth. But so that there is that, but that I would, I don't think that was necessarily her at a point where she maybe had her pick of roles. But she, that all those, hearing her say those things, it sort of makes me think of her like this generation's or the next generation's Cicely Tyson, who we're going to talk about later, because that's very much what Cicely Tyson did with her career, which was like she would only pick roles that, she was very specific. She wanted to be in control of basically what image was going to be put out into the universe. Again, the theme of like, you want to get something positive back, you have to put something positive out there. And she's been doing that with her amazing talent and beauty for many years. Seriously, born in 1958.
Yeah, she's in her 60s now. She's 62.
I think I'm gonna die before she does. like she's gonna because she's gonna live a nice, long, healthy life, and I'm so here for. I can't wait to see how many other roles she's gonna take on, because there's also a sort of fearlessness about her. You just don't want to mess with her, even if she's not playing someone who's supposed to be fearful. You just I don't know. Like you said, she picks the roles specifically. She's not playing
presence.
Meet people. She's crafting a very powerful presence that's going to live on after her with all of these shows. But she always seems to get roles that require a certain tenacity, a sort of a certain kind of real inner strength. that projects outward into literal strength and when needed. Because when you think of all these characters that she's played, like these are all sort of triumphant people or people who there's a sense of redemption in them. So she's like Tina Turner, overcoming the difficulties of her marriage and being a victim of spousal abuse and still creating a life of her own outside of that world. And then, of course, you have this movie today that we're going to talk about, which was like a huge hit. Like this became like cultural language, this title. Like everybody understood this. Like this, I think, and look at like just the people in it.
Look at
just
her
the names
arms.
you got right there.
Yeah. So this came out in 1998. Stella is a highly successful 40-something San Francisco stockbroker who is persuaded by her colorful New York girlfriend, Delilah, to take a well-deserved first-class vacation to Jamaica. I think we all need to watch this movie and go on a Jamaican vacation. Yeah, amazing cast with Ty Diggs, Whoopi Goldberg, Regina King, who we will be talking about in a few weeks. Yeah, I've never seen this, and this also fit the bill of, of course, highlighting Angela Bassett, but it being Valentine's month, we got to, sometimes you have to break the rules to free your heart. We got to get that in for Valentine's Day.
Well, isn't she also supposed to be like middle-aged, woman in this movie? And, there's like another sense of reclaiming some lost, like, lust for life, so to speak. And so like, seriously, this title, like everybody, like that became like the mantra. If you were like someone, you identified with her so like directly, because like there's so many people that get to that point, like, hello, we're in quarantine. I'm probably the age that her character is supposed to be at. And God, I would love to get out and vacation again right now and really get, the everything flowing again. But that was like, it was like, oh, getting your groove back became like a thing. I mean, even Disney ended up making a movie, The Emperor's New Groove. Like there's an element of this title that sort of really captured public consciousness in a way. And I still, like, even if you never seen the movie, the story of this movie, and that Angela Bassett is the person in this movie. Somehow it just, I think it's like one of those like mainstay classic like films from the last 20, 30 years. And obviously mostly due to this beautiful goddess of a human being in Angela Bassett, whose arms, as we were talking about, everyone always mentions her arms. Like I wore long sleeves so you wouldn't see what my arms look like today, because every now and then I wear a t-shirt and you can see like these flabby old man arms like under here, because I haven't worked out in forever. So I just felt like really ashamed. Like I had a t-shirt and I'm like, I'm just gonna go get this sweater.
I have my little pale ass stick arms.
I will try, Crystal. I will try to get my groove back. And I will make getting Angela Bassett's arms like another, that's probably the only attainable goal from Angela Bassett's life that I can aim for. Is to like get those arms.
Yes, she really is. I think one of the
I just
most
love she's another one of those people, like you see that she's in something, you're gonna go watch it. Like I don't care what it is. I don't even, if it's a genre I don't normally like, I will suddenly like it because Angela Bassett has taken a role in this. I'm like, okay, if Angela Bassett wanted to be in this movie, then I'm gonna watch this movie or this show. But like, sometimes when you see her in something that you already love, like I love American Horror Story, even though I can acknowledge it is sometimes garbage and Ryan Murphy does not know how to end a show. Doesn't know how.
They always start good and then just kind of go down.
He never knows how to end them. He's gone in so many directions, he doesn't know how to end them. But when I saw like, oh my God, when I saw she was in the Coven season, I was like, have to watch this. Have to watch. And then they brought her back for the Apocalypse season. I was like, okay, this is making everything better now. Angela Bassett is making everything better. That's just what she does. She's that amazing. Oh, thank you, Walter. I will start to try to. I'm delaying everything by saying when I finish redecorating my bedroom, then I'll get back to a routine where I do other things. Hold me to that.
I'll crack the whip on getting you in shape with your bedroom, because every day you're like, oh, I still have some stuff. Like, get it done. Your curtains
Right.
are arriving. It's gonna look great.
He did do the prom. Speaking of news today and entertainment, the most problematic performance in that movie got a Golden Globe nomination.
Yeah, the Golden Globes had a lot of interesting.
There was some good things though. One of our future Women Crush Wednesdays is nominated as Best Director. One of
There were
the
some
few,
good things. There were some weird
so
things too.
there were some other things that were just like, we need to have talk about this.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
Yeah, no, Angela Bassett can do no wrong in my eyes, and I have a feeling she's going to live the rest of her life and never do anything wrong in my eyes. I will follow her wherever she may
I
go.
will follow her wherever she may go. Ooh. Well, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, I think, is only available to rent. Last time I checked, so again, sorry about that. But should be really fun. It should just be like a fun, just fall in love with Angela Bassett all over again with this movie.
I mean, Angela Bassett vacationing in Jamaica with Taye Diggs.
Yes.
I'm signing up for this fantasy right now.
Showing off her arms. I mean, the weather's warm. I mean,
Angela Bassett on a beach with like. There didn't have to be a movie around that.
Up.
We could probably just watch her we could watch a documentary just about her being on vacation in Jamaica, and we would be entranced. Luckily, there's like a lovely story here to go around this, and she gets a character to play. So there'll be extra perks to tonight's movie, in addition to whisking you away to a tropical paradise.
Yeah, get out of, if you live in a place where it's you're buried in snow right now, watch this movie and
right.
Turn the heat up in your house and make yourself a tropical drink and watch How Stella Got Her Groove Back.
Yeah, set the scene, Amy.
Yeah. Tomorrow is our first Thursday of the month, and we are kicking off our first of all of our cat lady movies we are doing. Tomorrow's movie is The Aristocats. Which I'm so excited about. We are definitely gonna have fun on these cat lady birthdays as our genre for the month. Again, it's Valentine's month. It could be a rough time for the single people, and so let's give them some cats. And by then,
I know. And look, poor Owen, he's in England. Well, when you could travel again, come to the Bay Area.
Yeah. Crystal, aren't you married? That doesn't count.
You have a husband and a kitty to snuggle with.
Yeah, you've got everything. Yeah.
We love you.
Yes. But please watch How Stella Got Her Groove Back. Join us tomorrow as we talk about just how delightful it is. And then we will go on to talking about cats, in particular, the Aristocats. So all of our Thursdays this month are going to be really fun because we're going to talk about cats and representation of cats in film. There's hope for me. This will be one of 2 French cat movies we will be discussing. But it'll be fun. Check out our Patreon as well if you are interested in supporting us financially. We would most appreciate it. How Stella Got Her Groove Back, available to rent. Please watch your movies legally. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.